All right, we're tying the Royal Wulff. This is a fly with lots of pomp and circumstance. It's very bright and colorful, and fish are attracted to it. You're going to start with this is some black 6/0 thread about halfway down the shank, rolling, winding back towards the hook side, and cut off the pieces you don't need to build a little bit of a base for the next things to go on top. Once you get your base built, I got this in the hair stacker. This is some elk fur, and you're gonna take it towards the back and wind it. This will build part of the tail behind, and so you'll wrap this around a few times with some attaching loops and then put some tension on it. And you want the back part of this to hang off the back side of the hook about an extra hook length. And you're gonna trim off the front part of what you don't need. But once you get the position correctly and the length that you want, then you can begin to put some tighter wraps on that. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know down below what some flies that you're tying today or this season is, and let me know what you've learned while tying the Royal Wulff. Once you get the hair pieces separated of what's the front part and what's the back part, then you can put some more loops on there and then ultimately trim off the front part that you don't need of this elk hair. Once you got the front part trimmed off, then you can hide the rest of those front part of the elk hair with some thread. And you're gonna bring the thread back towards the front to attach some of the head pieces. All right, this is some deer tail, and you're gonna take this to make some of the wing up front. I put this in the hair stacker and got it a little bit more even. And so you're gonna put some attaching loops on it, and then you can pull it back and adjust the length that you want it to be. And this is gonna sit up and be sprayed out in the top part of this. And so you want it to have enough length to be able to equally split in half and form the wing, but not to be too long that it sticks up too high. So this is about a hook length, total length hanging off the front, and I pulled it back just a little bit after I got some loops on it. Once you're happy with the length, you can put some stronger loops on that, and then you're gonna go ahead and trim off this back portion that you don't need, because we're just gonna use the front part for the wing. Once you get that back part trimmed off, you can put some thread base back towards the back, attaching both the wing and the tail together, making that a little bit more of a smoother transition. And towards the front of this, you're gonna pull this up and put some loops in front of this, and this will make the wings stand up. And then I'm gonna grab, I grabbed a bodkin to split this in half. You can use your fingers. I just find it a little easier to find a way to get it. And once you get it split side to side, you can get your thread and in a figure 8 motion, wrap around both sides of the wing, giving it a pretty clear separation of the left and the right side. Once you're happy with it, you can bring the thread all the way back towards the tail, and we're going to start building the middle section of the body. This is some Peacock Herl, and you're going to put some attaching loops, and you're going to make a couple passes of this. You'll see, because in the middle we're going to put some indicator, some bright red thread. But once you get this attached, you're going to start winding the Peacock Herl on the back side first. I trimmed off the little extra sections sticking out of here. You could also pull back the Herl itself to not have any extra pieces if you wanted as well. Bring your thread back towards the front because you're going to need it to tie off the peacock once you get over to it. Then with your hands or your rotary vise, you can begin to wind this Peacock Herl around pretty evenly. I'm using 2 strands of Peacock Herl here to give it a little bit more of a poofy body. You'll notice I just did a few loops, and then I used the thread to bring this back towards the front, and that's to make a little cavity here in the middle for the bright red indicator thread. So I grabbed some bright red thread and I put a fair amount of it in the middle part here. It was a little bit challenging not getting it tangled in the black thread, and so just keep an eye on that, because if it does begin to twist around, you'll have a big mess on your hand. Trim off the section you don't need, and then put a fair amount of loops winding all the way towards the wing part of this fly. And this is going to give a really bright section of this fly that fish will be attracted to and be able to see really easy wherever they're at. Once you have enough of that thread on there, you can use your black thread to tie this off like you would anything else. And once you get a few attaching loops on there, go ahead and trim off the red thread. And then you're going to put a few more wraps of the Peacock Herl to finish off the middle part of the body. Then you can use your thread to attach the front part of this Peacock Herl, wrap it up, and then you'll trim off the Peacock Herl from this point forward. Few more attaching loops, and you're going to leave your thread towards the front part of the wing to attach the hackle. This is some red dyed rooster hackle, and you're gonna put the bottom part of it right in between the two wings to help give it some more separation, and attach it with some loops, and then ultimately leave your thread right behind the hook eye to finish tying the hackle once you're done. I'm using some hackle pliers. You can use your fingers, and you'll want to give a few wrapping loops behind the wing itself, and then you're going to want to transfer it back into front of the wing so there's a good separation of the wing, but also a good distribution of the hackle itself. Trim off the hackle you don't need, and put some more really strong attaching loops there, and then grab your whip finisher and put some whip finishing loops right behind the eye of this particular fly. Trim off the thread, and there you have the Royal Wulff. Make any adjustments you need with your scissors, and I hope you enjoy fishing this one. See you on the next one. Happy tying!